February was Black History Month, and UPlift Black crafted a calendar of virtual events and videos celebrating Black History Month and the experiences of Black people in Barrie's community, as well as Simcoe, Muskoka. Now it's March, and I wanted to check in to learn more about UPlift Black and also how the month went this year. But if you haven't checked out their videos yet and their content, then don't watch this video. Watch the excellent content that they've crafted about Black History Month, as well as the many conversations and people that they bring in to speak on their video shows. And then here's my interview with Shelly Skinner, president and co-founder of UPlift Black. She introduces herself, and then we get more into talking about UPlift Black's founding, mission, and future in Simcoe, Muskoka. But also how organizations and businesses in Barrie can more authentically participate in Black History Month each year, and in the fight against anti-Black racism in our community.
My name is Shelly Skinner. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I am the president of UPlift Black. UPlift Black is a not-for-profit organization working to uplift the complete well-being of Black people living in Simcoe County. Our work is anchored in the 2S LGBTQ+ inclusivity, and we're working to achieve the ultimate goal of racial equity through a very conscious and uplifted community.
And so if people go online and search UPlift Black, see your Facebook page, Instagram, they see now like a whole range of programs, webinars, community involvement, a whole bunch of things going on. Could you kind of take me back to the beginning of how UPlift Black started and how you've kind of gotten to this point?
Absolutely. UPlift Black started as a call from the community for more social services, more community, more visibility in Simcoe County for the Black community. And we really needed to make sure that if we were going to say Black Lives Matter, that we meant all Black Lives Matter. So, that's why we're anchored in that inclusivity for the queer and trans people of our community. So it is an organization that's working to really build the visibility and the strength of the diverse community that is Simcoe County, and to tell the stories and share the experiences of Black people. And we got called out of the unfortunate murder of George Floyd that happened on May 25th, 2020. I was able to come out into the community and be a speaker for the Black Lives Matter rally in Barrie. And I was asked to speak because of my work in the community and my anti-oppressive work that I've been doing in this community since I've been here. And I remember sitting around that day being really, really disappointed. And I mean, we had over 2,000 people. It wasn't because we didn't have enough people that showed up, but it's because I was like, where have you been? Like I've been fighting this fight and it felt like, alone for so long. As a Black queer woman, walking into Barrie, I was just, I felt like I was walking into another community, like Pleasantville, I'm like, where are I? I've gone from color to Black and white because we've gone back so far back. And that was a really shocking experience because I had been privileged enough to grow up in the GTA, which was a lot more diverse, and I lived in Montreal, which was incredibly diverse as well. So coming to Barrie and recognizing that the need for work for this community to build its progression felt like a very lonely job for a while. And it's not really like that anymore. There's so many progressive voices now, and I'm so happy to see the strength of our advocates starting to build in our community. And UPlift Black is just looking to continue that conversation and to keep giving people strength so that they can continue to do the work that they need, so they can continue to feed their families, so that they can continue to survive and feel safe in their communities. Because even though we were all stuck at home because of COVID and everybody was like fully aware of safety in the community, and that was a conversation. I mean, Black and queer people and members of the trans community, like we have felt unsafe in these communities for a really long time. So it was like just another day for us, right? So this UPlift Black was created to create community. Really, that was the whole start, and it's really been community driven. I know I lead the organization, but I could not do any of this without, the strength of the community, the strength of our allies, the Black community who have stepped up to support it as well. It is a passion of mine to continue to give back to the community that has been good to me over the years, and it has stepped up for me. And this is kind of like my gift to the community, if I can.
When you said earlier about how different Barrie is to the GTA in terms of it's a very like white city, and with a lot of with a lack of representation on council or in other positions of power, does that kind of change the way that you structure programming or go about working in the community? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We want to be involved in all the conversations. We want to be at the table wherever there is a table. Uplift Black needs to be there because we need to, help create strong leaders in our community so that they can step into these roles. The fact remains is that, if there's nobody of color running for office, then we're not going to have any diversity. So, in 2018, when I ran, it was with that hopes that other people, marginalized people, other people of color, women, queer people could look at me and say, hey, if she can do it, I can do it. Right. And so that's really the hope with Uplift Black, is to remind the community that you can make a difference, that there is support. There are people who want to help you be the strong community leader that you can be. And so Uplift Black is doing that. All of our programming, all of our partnerships are with that in mind. One of the biggest partnerships we have is with the Simcoe County District School Board. And we're really, really excited about that. We partnered with Lakehead University and their social workers program, working to help build strong social workers who are culturally aware of how to be actively anti-racist to the Black and Indigenous community, to how to make sure that you truly understand that you are at the front lines when it comes to creating safety for so many people who need you. So, some of these partnerships are so important. Partnering with the Barrie Public Library and the Innisfil Library, and, over Black History Month was so important because we needed our communication to be accessible, to be free, to be available. And, that can't always be done, unless we have partners who are going to step up and say, I value what you have to offer. I'm going to pay you to offer this service to my community. So that's been imperative to help us continue the conversation.
That's a really interesting point, and I want to touch on that in a little bit. I was wondering, one thing I wanted to ask you about operating during a pandemic, and when you mentioned a really core part of Uplift Black is the community and bringing that together. How have you done that throughout the pandemic when it's seems so hard to gather together? What's that been like?
Absolutely. Opening up our organization has been the number one way, pulling in all of our volunteers who've stepped up. Like that is a community in its own. Starting the Uplift Black Facebook group, which we have over 1,900 members of right now in that group, has allowed for virtual communication, virtual thought sharing, virtual truth sharing. Right. And has allowed people to feel like they're not alone in a time where, we're all pretty isolated. So that's been so important. Our social media is how we share the information regardless. There's still lots to say. Even if we can't say it in person, we know that it's still a really, unique and new way to learn is virtually. People are signing up for courses and getting degrees and using their computers. So, the opportunity to educate the masses is so a key, and that's how we've maintained strength in our community today.
Oh, okay. And I guess in the context of Black History Month, throughout your time in Barrie and then throughout your time kind of leading Uplift Black, how have you seen the Black History Month in Barrie? Have you seen that evolve? Has there been progress forward in terms of better celebration or better recognition or better kind of reflection by Barrie, or how has that happened?
I'm honestly was so overwhelmed this year in 2021 for Black History Month. The request to support, to be part of, to lend ear, to consult, was overwhelming. And I had never experienced anything like that before. So, part of it felt like, okay, is this performative? But even if it is, it's still important. So I tried to, but it was really nice that we had other organizations like Making Change who that's their mandate to educate and to provide celebration for Black History Month. And they did a great job sharing that with the community. But before Making Change, before Uplift Black, it was just a handful of Black community members who were putting on events, very quiet events, because there was nobody sharing that. Not even the city would share that information. They weren't putting on their own programming at all. We weren't, the schools had left it up to the teacher to decide whether they wanted to talk about Black History Month or not, or if they want to even put it as part of their curriculum. It was silence, really, before Making Change and stepped in and said, hey, we're going to do something about this. And I co-founded that organization. And it was it was because people were calling me where's the Black History Month events? And as an event planner and as an educator and, community member, I felt like it was an opportunity for me to do something and make a change, right? And that's how we called it Making Change with Michelle Newton. So it was a wonderful experience to see this year. Finally, people understanding that you don't need to rely on your Black community members to speak about Black history, right? And to share Black stories and to share the voices of the Black community. Like, you can, take your own initiative and step up and do it. And so that's what we saw this year for the first time. People, our allies, and particularly our white allies, stepping up and saying, hey, we've never done anything yet for Black History Month, and we want to change that. All we're asking now is a little bit more pre-planning and reaching out to us maybe in August and September, not in February for Black History Month, so we can really make sure that we are able to support in the way that this community deserves, the way our Black community deserves us to support. And we can't do that if we're overwhelmed with too many people coming to us at the same time. So spread it out. We're Black 365,
I was reading on your Facebook page a post that mentioned how a lot of the time Black educators and other people from marginalized communities in Canada are sometimes expected to share their stories or educate people for free and dive into these really difficult subjects for free. Yep. I was wondering, how can groups in Barrie who may want to start celebrating Black History Month more, how can they do that in a more equitable way that really kind of brings the conversation forward in a really good way?
Yeah, they just have to pay their speakers. They have to pay their talent. They have to pay for the information and the knowledge, because this is not, we weren't born to be your educators, right? But if we are educators, then we deserve to be paid for the job that we do, just like everyone else, right? And I find that happens a lot where, I'll be part of a parent group or a part of something else, and everybody wants me to be there, anti-Black racism, just because I'm the only Black person, in that group, and that's unfair. So it's a conversation about, really truly valuing, the education that's being provided to you, recognizing that it is work, it is our job, but not every Black person is an anti-oppressive educator. So reach out to the people who are. Stop asking your neighbor to tell you how they feel about Black Lives Matter. It's just your Black neighbor, because it can be awkward, it can be uncomfortable. And sometimes we just want to be another parent in the room, not the Black parent in the room, right?
Yeah, and I only want you to answer this as much as you're comfortable, but is that, that seems like that'd be a lot of pressure on you, especially in a small community like Barrie.
Yes, absolutely. A few years ago, I think it was back in 2017, I was part of the LGTB Giving Network. They do this big conference, and it was at a time that I was being pulled in 50 different directions. I was working with Barrie Pride and being a Black female, queer female, for Black History Month, for Pride, for, International Women's Day. Everybody wanted to call me to be that representation. And it was a lot of pressure. And I didn't do well after being pulled in those many different directions. Our mental health took quite a dive. And I think that that's also what helped propel me to build Uplift Black, because we need other voices, right? And we need to build those leaders. If they're not already there, then as a activist and a leader in this community, it's my job to mentor and support other activists. That's the role that I've taken as an activist. That's, as my elder has says, I've been called into this, and it's my job to support other people to do this work, because we can't do it by ourselves. And there is that real burnout that happens. So yeah, it's a lot of pressure on a lot of people to be so many different things. And some days I literally just want to be, Shelly Skinner, the mom, and just go about my life in that way where, I don't have to have that lens and everything. I don't have to recognize or see everything, that all the injustices and things happening around me. But that's not really what my calling was. My calling was to call it out and to support other people to do the same and to create more strong voices.
Are there any steps, and this is a huge question, but are there any steps that the city of Barrie or other public groups could do to partner with your group in order to... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No. Like, I just want to jump right in. They have to partner with our group. Like, they have to, they have to partner with queer groups. They have to partner with Black groups. They have to partner with other marginalized groups and learn period. And expand their cultural competency, allow them to recognize the cultural add that diversity can bring to every single enterprise, organization, association, municipality, government structure, however you want to call it. Like, diversity is the way to go. Like, and, you have to partner with them to uplift your organization, your association, your media, because otherwise everything is falling flat, because it's not being nurtured within culture, it's not being nurtured within truth and truth telling. And that's so important. So it's a good message of just like, partner, make that phone call, say, what can we do to support? And if you're finding like, oh, I always hear people say, oh, I sent you a message 3 months ago, you didn't get back to me. And I said, well, you obviously that wasn't really that important to you if that was your only effort. Think about the people, the small group of us in this community that are trying to do this incredible, gigantic, enormous amount of work. That's not fair. Give us the time to get back to you. Have some patience, understanding, and stop living within this white supremacy culture that says that we all have to jump when you say jump, and and be robots, and let's have compassion. Let's have empathy for people.
And I guess, like you said, like it seems like within that framework, then all people on city council and a lot of the city councilors, might be the onus is on them to do that learning, right, before they try to pick up Black History Month as a way to reach constituents. It's like they have to do the hard work themselves. They can't expect you and your group to do that for them, really, right?
Yeah. Let's talk Mike McCann and this I Love Barrie sign. I love public art. I think public art is powerful. I think that we should be always trying to support that kind of initiative. I'm all for that. But I think the sign needs to say, Barrie loves you. I think that's what our community needs to hear now. Our community needs to know that our city loves us, that we matter, that we are important, that if we come to this community as a tourist, that we are valued, that our money is valued. Instead of saying, I love Barrie, I want to hear Barrie loves me, right? And, and I want to see different communities, organizations like Uplift Black, like Barrie Pride, support that piece and build it, and maybe be part of find our artists and let them be part of that movement, make it very community driven. Like, if Mike McCann has all this money to throw at community art, then let's make it community art. Let's make it a community sign that speaks to the hearts of the members who who live here, who thrive here, who work here, and who visit. And that's that we have a community who loves and has compassion. We got to switch the conversation sometimes. And if this is what's happening and this is what people want to support, then let's all come together and make it what it should be.
That's a really great point, and I hadn't thought of it like that. That's yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And I was wondering, from your perspective and with UPlift Black moving into this coming year, is there any upcoming plans or things kind of happening that you can talk about?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're building our foundation. We don't want to overextend the programming that we can offer until we know that we have the right structures in place, because this is going to last in our community. We're going to make sure it lasts, right? So we need to make sure that we have the funding that we need. We need to make sure that we have the right people in the right place. We need to come back to the drawing table every month and figure out, is this the right way we want to move forward? And the good thing about COVID is that we're able to do this now. So let's get it done, because by the time we're out, everybody's been vaccinated and we're getting back in the community, we're going to be doing in-person programming. We're going to be doing camps. We're going to be doing social events, arts events, vernissages. Like we want people to come out and celebrate Black with us, because the year's been really heavy. So like the last couple of years with the pandemic. So let's celebrate together when we get together. So we're just trying to build our foundation, and we're doing some educational programming with the school board. We still have our book club every month that that you can participate in. You can view our previous episodes of our webisodes that we have for UPlift Black, the web series. More coming soon as we get more funding. It's all about, well, we can move as quick as the funding comes in. That's pretty much how it is, because everybody's being pulled in many different directions, and we're volunteer run. So, until we're able to get to a strong, community supported, funded, supported organization. Right now, we're just looking at great ways to, collaborate and take advantage of those types of partnerships, like we did for Black History Month, and work behind the scenes to wow you guys moving forward. So yeah, lots coming.
Perfect. I thank you so much for speaking with me. And I was wondering, just one last question about media in Barrie and Barrie community media, as well as Barrie Today and all these other groups. Do you have any tips for how we could improve our coverage of Black History Month, but also anti-Black coverage of anti-Black racism throughout the year? Yeah. I know that's a big question too. But
yeah, it is. The thing is just keep in contact with the organizations that are rooted in this work. And when we send you like updates, or if you haven't heard from us in a while, ask us what's going on and how you can amplify the voices of the organizations, because I think that's a huge thing. Look for the different people, the Black businesses, and we've heard a lot of voices from a lot of white businesses about COVID, like what's happening with the diverse businesses in the community. How are they? Let's give them a platform to speak about their experiences as well, right? So it's really just trying to diversify the people that you are in contact with in order to be in the know on what's going on through that's happening throughout the whole community, and not just in one voice, one vision, one lens. If you don't have your hands in the different pots of the diverse groups, right? Like what's happening with the Barrie Latin Resource Center. They're great people to contact about what's happening in that community, or what's happening with the different associations. How are they dealing with COVID? There's different voices that are not being heard, I think.